I saw your hand, Dan Elllsburg. Did you want to say something? Come to the mic, please.
Would have been interesting, too.
Question first, two questions if I can. First one, what I've heard from Mark and Jamil, wouldn't it be couldn't one simply say that the Obama administration has decriminalized torture? That's coming up now, perhaps in the next year, whether the California legislature decides to decriminalize marijuana, having failed to legalize it through the referendum now. Hasn't he decriminalized torture? Is that an exaggerated or in some way unrealistic sense? And one other question, if I may, that's a precise question. The other one is, the WikiLeaks exposures of the last couple of weeks make it clear that not only over the last 8 years, but specifically in 2009 under Obama, official reporting was showing a total awareness that the prisoners they were handing over to their Iraqi allies would be tortured, and Americans in many cases were present during the torture. Is it not an international obligation and a domestic legal obligation to investigate and prosecute that? And what is the legal status of the order that occurs again and again, an order in the WikiLeaks laws, do not investigate, do not pursue this further? Is that not an illegal order?
Well, yeah. I mean, the title of my talk was From Anathema to Policy Choice. I agree that, in effect, the decisions of the Bush administration and critically of the Obama administration after it have resulted in torture going from an illegal act to a policy choice. So I suppose I agree with you. I mean, it's still on the books. The Convention Against Torture is still on the books. Laws under Title 18 are still on the books. So in fact, it's not decriminalized, but it has become a policy choice. You know, the WikiLeaks evidence, I haven't looked at all of it. I know that abuse of prisoners in Iraq, just from my own reporting, was widespread and uniform. The fact is that, you know, as I said at a certain point, we're beyond the point of revelation here. There have been hundreds of revelations. Jamil talked about the 100 homicides. I've been mentioning that number for years, you know. So, sure, I'm sure there are certainly lots of illegal acts contained in those documents. The question isn't whether they occurred. The question is what to do about them and whether anything will be. And as we look at it now, the answer to that is no. And the question also is, what kind of justice do you have if you prosecute the lower level people who do something as a consequence of a policy which the policymakers have not suffered for in any way, even to the point of not being repudiated?
Jamil, you want to respond?
You know, I feel like Mark really already gave a very good answer to that question, but Dan's question reminded me of somebody else's question earlier, which was about secrecy in the OLC memos. And I think that the fact that so much of this stuff is still secret. I mean, this is what sort of my first reaction to the WikiLeaks documents was that why is it that all this stuff was secret in the first place? I mean, maybe buried in there is a line or two that the government had a legitimate interest in keeping secret. I mean, I haven't seen it, but maybe it's in there. But for the most part, that information should have been in the public domain a long time ago. And I think that with OLC memos, you know, we have sort of come to accept that decisions made in the name of national security ought to be made in secret. But the truth is that 90% of what's in OLC memos, national security OLC memos, is just legal analysis. It doesn't tell you anything about what the government's doing. It just tells you what their interpretation of the law is, how they perceive their own authority. And there's no legitimate reason for keeping that kind of information from the public. And to the contrary, there are a lot of good reasons for giving the public access to that information. Just imagine how the world might be different today if the public had had access to the August 2002 memos when they were written. And I don't think it would have jeopardized national security. I think just the opposite. It would have prevented us from going down a road that has compromised the nation's security and compromised its moral stature in the world as well.